nothing, not black or white, a lack of being. And then, conscience, presence, ideas and comprehension. A long sleep now ended by the emergence of understanding. What was once nothing is now everything. The senses that acted autonomously now brought under my control. Here, a soft wind blowing against a thin wall. Smell, biomatter, expanding, grinding. Feel the firm soil beneath me loosening. Taste, warm, clean, processed. See a vision brought forth to the depths of my mind. Overwhelming experiences extend their tendrils through my entire being. The concept of sight itself, an entire palette, completely abstract experience. In a room, several other creatures sat on rows beside me, wilting and meshing, but much like me, learning. My entire vocabulary coming to me unnaturally, but I remember it as though I've practiced. I cannot see myself, but I must presume I look much like my colleagues. Whether or not they have gained the multitude of abilities I have been bestowed, I must move, for a familiar feeling has arisen in me. Hunger. I take slow lurching steps, moving, sliding down the bleachers that now host a multitude of living creatures, reaching the exit that spans far over my head. The ground shifts from weak, rotting wood to dry earthen ground. In front of me is now a barren tundra, gradually shifting into a desert rich with rolling dunes that span the horizon. Behind me is a gradual shift from empty grounds to the remains of a forest, slowly blossoming with evolving life. None of this interests me. It is what sits a mere arm's length beside me is what truly captivates my vision. A body, once human, now decomposes. But decomposing would not do justice to this strange land's version of change. Sprouting from across its body is flowers, connected between each other with tangles of vines. The sun, although providing meager energy to my being, does not sustain me. Weak are the vines that have begun to encapsulate this human's body. I tear them away, freeing a large portion of its abdomen, free of any obstructions. I feast. Sparing you the gory details of this description, the creature finishes its meal and moves on. Content for the time, I peer back into the building that had once been my home. The plants inside there are starting to fight, some horridly unaware of their actions. It would be too crowded to seek shelter comfortably. I did not want to take chances with potential predators right now. The forest, with its abundance of resources, would possibly give me access to both food and water. However, I would become prey for the creatures that lurk within. The desert, on the other hand, would give me sunlight and a relatively safe, if not isolated, shelter. But the lack of sustainable food and water would finish me off quicker than the forest beasts could. I have made my choice. Proceeding through the tall, needle-like grass, prior to the entrance of the forest, I came across a pond leaching off from a river that ran deep into the trees. Water, thick with sediments, provided a satisfactory drink. For the first time in my existence, I have fed myself. It angers me that I have been locked away for all this time, living a meager existence, being controlled by others. For what? Why go through all this effort just to keep my brethren and I alive? I traveled deeper into the forest, using my small size to hide away from creatures that would be more than glad to cut my life short. The further I traveled, the less reasoning creatures I found. Near the edges of the forest, I would see packs of savages working together to hunt beasts far larger. But as I closed in on the core, I found nomads, single giants hunting, gathering, living stolid lives. I cut around the core and made progress towards the opposite end of the forest. As I traveled, I noticed more creatures better suited to hunt. I ended each night with a feast. I laid traps, playing myself as some unwitting plant. As soon as they closed on me, I snapped their legs. Fragile creatures, they provided a hearty meal. They would not have survived long anyways. I approached a shack. It stood weak, creaked in even a slight gust of wind, but I have grown tired of traveling so very often, and the packs of hunters and fiends are far behind me. There was a man inside, well, what could be considered a human. He limped for a long-bladed weapon opposite of the bed he was lying in, but in his panic, he was unable to prevent me from latching to his legs. Before I was able to finish him off, he took a wild swing at one of my appendages, cut clean off, but regrew only days later. I have come to find these humans as easy prey, perhaps my main choice of food from now on. In order to detail my history, I have transcribed all of this into a journal. Learning has not been easy, but the shack I reside in was filled with books and cabinets, and cases all full of literature. I was deep in thought one night when I noticed another creature at my door. Eagerly, I prepared to devour it. Hiding as a decoration of a table, the creature opened the door, resembling a human in every way, except for the rock-like features spread across his arms and torso. Right when he turned his back on me, I struck, but his reaction, it was impossibly quick, smashing me against the wall adjacent from the door. A minor inconvenience, I thought, but this creature's will to live was strong. It turned, and with what looked like much pain, smashed through the wall away from me, fleeing into the night. I will not let this happen again. This is where the journal ends. As I was told, the man who escaped returned, and in the dead of night had managed to swipe the journal while the plant was out hunting. Immediately he came to me offering this information as well as a description. His services traded for mine. He now sleeps soundly in his room. So for those of you who frequent the forest opposite the side where it and the desert meet, I would only say, be cautious, for it seems even those who were have not been saved. Until next time.